And we welcome you to AFA Today from the shadow of the Freedom Tower in the heart of Lower Manhattan, right north of the Trinity Church, the historic Trinity Church. Kevin McCullough back at the microphone and glad to be with you today. We've got a lot to get to, and for those of you just watching on the AFA channel, beautiful, clear day in New York. You saw a shot of Lady Liberty there in the harbor. She's looking good today. Hey, we've got so much to get to in the next hour, and I want to make sure that we have the chance to appropriately cover the news that is important. For instance, there is a really important story on onenewsnow.com. By the way, Kevin McCullough is my name. 888-589-8840. Very important story over on onenewsnow.com that deals with the St. Patrick's Day parade in Boston. Very interesting kind of humorous approach that they took to this. The gay activists, that is. They wanted to formally march in the. They wanted to have a gay pride demonstration in the St. Patty's Day parade, and the organizers, it's a private event, not that excited about doing that, said no, we're not gonna do that this year. And so then they got mad and they went to court and they did all these other things. Well, turns out they lost. The judge said, no, it's a private event. They can do what they want. And so they got all tricky. They decided to say, well, what if we had a veterans group that wasn't promoting equality per se, gay rights per se, but they were actually a veterans group and they just happened to be gay, and could you stop them then? The chance was they thought, no, there's no way they'll stop them. So then they filed, and the St. Patty's Day parade said, well, I guess we can let the veterans march. They went through the whole thing. Turns out there's no gay veterans in Boston. So they can't have a gay veterans group marching, but they were going to trick them, and they were going to say that a bunch of them were. Turns out they couldn't find a single member of the group. So the tricky tricksters that are tricking us, there were 20 members supposedly of the group, and turned out the parade organizers couldn't even determine that the group existed. Truly funny stuff. Anyway, Kevin McCullough, glad you're with us. 888-589-8840. There's a number of other stories that I want to get to, but last night on ABC News, and again this morning on Good Morning America, there was a story that was put out there that I think really does impact us in a dramatic way. I will just say this. I am not the father of a young girl, but it's one of the things that the lovely bride and I long to be someday, parents of a young lady. But I will tell you that my bride is not short on speaking her mind when she feels the need. And I haven't asked her about this story yet because I've been working on it all morning. I just wonder what her reaction is going to be when she sees what the new push is for controlling our language, manipulating the language of the day, manipulating the English language, the vocabulary that we've come to use and appreciate, and secondly, how it impacts the lives of young girls. For the last couple of days on ABC News, they've been reporting it on a variety of shows. This is how it aired this morning on Good Morning America.
Against the B word, not the one you think. Some of America's most successful women now believe that the word bossy can be holding our daughters back. They're banding together to ban it. ABC's Cynthia McFadden has the story.
Okay, raise your hand if anyone's ever called you bossy.
Bossy. It's a word kids use all the time, and so do parents and teachers. But it's a loaded word, says Sheryl Sandberg, a dangerous one.
We need to help them lean in.
And she is launching a campaign to ban it.
We know that by middle school, more boys than girls want to lead. And if you ask girls why they don't want to do it, they don't want to be disliked and they don't want to be called bossy.
We saw that play out with this group of first-grade girls at the Hunter School in New York City.
So what's more important, to be liked or to be a leader?
If you're a leader, your friends will get mad at you and they won't want to be your friend anymore.
And that is the heart of the problem, says Sandberg.
We are 50% of the population. We are 5% of the Fortune 500 CEOs. We are 17% of the board seats. We are 19% of the U.S. Congress. That's not enough for 50% of the population.
Why does it happen? She says it all comes back to Bossy.
I was called Bossy when I was in 9th grade. My teacher took my best friend, Mindy, aside, and she said, you shouldn't be friends with Sheryl. She's bossy. And that hurt.
So she's launched the Ban Bossy campaign,
Being labeled something matters.
complete with a star-studded PSA.
I'm not bossy. I'm the boss.
To her organization, Lean In. Today, the head of the Girl Scouts, Anna Maria Chavez, joins her.
Why does bossy matter?
Because words matter. We need to start naming girls with positive attributes like strong, confident, resilient, with grit, not bossy.
It is, as you call it, the other B word.
We call girls bossy on the playground. We then call them too aggressive or other B words in the workplace. We should have the expectation that girls lead so that we applaud it.
Well, all right, so that was the basic gist of it on Good Morning America this morning, and that PSA, we've got a copy of that. We may use that later in the broadcast as well. But I want to get to the crux of what they are saying here. And it's an assumption that I'm not sure where they came up with it from. The essence of the assumption is that girls are not inclined to pursue leadership at younger ages. When they're on the playground, when they're in elementary school, when they're in junior high, they're not as likely to step up and become a leader of something. That's what they're saying. And I don't know what research they use, but let's just say for argument's sake that they have that actually correct. Let's just say that there is a gap between the number of girls that volunteer to head up something or to take leadership of something when they're that age, as opposed to what it is to boys. Question. Obviously, to ABC, there's an answer to this. Obviously, to Ms. Sandberg, Sheryl Sandberg of Facebook, she's the COO, Chief Operating Officer. There's an opinion about this. But does it matter? Does it matter that girls at age 7 want the exact same things that boys at age 7 want? Does it matter at age 14 that they want the exact same thing that boys want? See, I'm really torn about this. I mean, there may be a bona fide difference between the amount of aggression or aggressiveness that boys show at a certain age and the level of aggressiveness or aggression or assertion or assertiveness that girls show at a certain age. Is that a bad thing? She threw out those stats. You know, we're 50% of the population, we're 5% of the CEOs, and that must be changed. Really? That must be changed? Is there some sort of moral inequity because fewer women desire to be CEOs than men? See, on the surface, they have this lousy worldview, this lousy, fouled up, stenchy, stinky, stupid worldview that is, if everything is not the same as, then we're not being treated equally. And I think that's a farce. The other side of this assertion, the other side of this, if we're not 50% of all the CEOs, is that women who don't pursue such things are somehow less valuable to society. So they go out and get all these celebrities, and you heard, or if you were watching on the channel, you saw Beyonce, I'm not bossy, I'm the boss. Because she runs her entertainment company. Does this matter? 888-589-8840. I don't want to talk about anything else. So if you called in about something else, get off the phone lines. I want to talk about our kids today. I want to talk about our girls. I want to talk about our boys. I don't want to talk about Democrats or Republicans. I don't want to talk about any of that junk. Whatever. The political parties are going to blow up and the world's going to come to a crashing, fiery end. We know this, right? I mean, it's just all going to come to... So let's concentrate on things that we can do something about today. And today, I want to know what you think about this Ban Bossy campaign. Because I think maybe I'm misinterpreting it. Maybe I'm looking at it through the wrong spectrum of information or eyes. Maybe because I'm a man, I can't understand it. Maybe I don't have the biology that allows me to have the intuition that thinks that banning a word, bossy, is going to somehow cause women to desire of their own accord to be head of large companies more so than they already currently do. And I think that what comes along with this, and this is again just my opinion, I think that there's a lot of junk that comes with this. I wrote this in my second book, the kind of man every man should be. Harvest House Publishers. The modern feminist movement, which is different than the classic feminist movement. The modern feminists were in the 1960s, and they equated sameness with equality. They said, as long as we're treated exactly the same, then we're going to be considered equal. That's a lie. That's a complete lie. It's a total lie. Are you hearing me? There's nothing truthful about that idea. Because sameness is not the equivalent of equality. Equality is the equivalent of equality, but not sameness. The 1920s feminism, classic feminists, argued for actual equality. They didn't argue for sameness. Difference in message. This Ban Bossy campaign is all about being the same as, not seeing the inherent value of. And I think it teaches our girls a lie. I think it spreads lies to them. I think it says things to them that are not true. But I want to know what you think. 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. The goal of this, Sheryl Sandberg says, we call girls bossy on the playground. Do we call all girls bossy on the playground? What if a girl's actually being bossy on the playground? I mean, did anybody think about that? What if the word actually fits? I just called my 3-year-old bossy, and he's a boy, 2 days ago. He's sitting there yapping at his 1-year-old brother, saying, dabba, 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 and I said, James, don't boss your brother around. You don't want to be a bossy pest, to quote Richard Scarry. You don't want to be a bossy pest. Let mom and dad handle the bossiness. You just play with your brother, or play politely and quietly separate from your brother, but don't boss him around. Sometimes words actually mean things. Sometimes words actually mean that a kid is being bossy. She says, we call girls bossy on the playground. We call them too aggressive or other bad words in the workplace. They're bossy as little girls, and then they're aggressive, political, shrill, too ambitious as women. Is this really a problem? Is this a thing? And ladies, you're going to have first stab at everything today. So if there's a woman that's on hold, I'm going to go to you first, and you're going to get preferential placement on the calls. But I want to know, in your humble opinion, is calling little girls bossy an epidemic that is somehow shattering their ability to perform and achieve in school to then go on and live whatever life they want to live? I'm very curious as to what you think about that. Because I think it's just a bunch of silliness. Kevin McCullough, glad you're with us. 888-589-8840. 888-589-8840. I've got this story linked. We're going to put it on the Facebook page and stuff as well. But are girls bossy? Do we need to ban the word bossy? And is it necessarily a problem that they don't always aspire to the same level of whatever that boys do? Let's talk about it next on AFA Today here on AFR Talk.